You know that feeling when you're stuck between a rock and a hard place? Facing a choice where every single option just feels wrong? Well, those moments have a name. They're moral dilemmas. And today, we're going to dive into what they are, because understanding them is a huge part of understanding ourselves. Seriously, what do you do? That feeling in the pit of your stomach when you know that no matter what you pick, something important is going to be lost. This isn't about choosing between good and evil. A lot of the time, it's about choosing between two different kinds of bad. So let's get a clear definition. The word dilemma actually comes from Greek, and it literally means two conflicting choices. And that's the key. It's not just a tough decision, it's a real, genuine no-win situation where every path forward violates some deeply held value you have. At their very core, these dilemmas are really a clash of our ideals. It's that moment when your sense of duty goes head to head with what you think will cause the least harm, or when your personal responsibilities smash right into some universal principle. This is where ethics stops being a textbook subject and gets really, really human. Now, as chaotic as these situations feel, philosophers have actually found a way to categorize them. And breaking them down into these 6 forms of conflict can really help us make sense of what's going on, to find a little order in the chaos. First up, we've got the epistemic dilemma. Epistemic is just a fancy word that has to do with knowledge. So this is the kind of dilemma where you're essentially flying blind. You have to make a call, but you just don't have all the facts you need to be sure which choice is the right one. And a student's reflection really brought this to life with the classic example of an ER doctor. They've got to act right now to save someone, but they don't have a full diagnosis yet. How can they be sure the treatment they choose will help and not harm? The pressure is just immense, and it's all because the knowledge is incomplete. Okay, next is the ontological dilemma. Now, this one is different. It's not about missing facts. You have all the information you need. The problem is you're facing two moral rules that are both completely valid, both really important, but you can only follow one. This example from a student is just gut-wrenching. It makes the conflict so incredibly clear. You have a moral duty to save a life, right? But that duty applies to both soldiers equally. There is no easy answer here, only a tragic choice. Let's talk about the self-imposed dilemma. And be honest, this is probably one we can all relate to a little too well. These are the messes we've created for ourselves, the conflicts that pop up because of promises we made or decisions we took in the past. A student's experience here just captures it perfectly. You've made 2 different promises to 2 different friends. You said yes twice, and now they clash. To keep one promise, you have to break the other. Either way, you're going to let someone down. On the complete flip side, you have the world-imposed dilemma. This is when the universe, or maybe just some really bad luck, throws an impossible choice right in your lap. You didn't cause it, you didn't ask for it, but here you are. You have to deal with it. And this example, it's just devastating. An accident puts a parent in an unthinkable, unimaginable position. It's not their fault at all. It's a conflict forced on them by the world. It's a chilling reminder of how life can push us to our absolute limits. Then you've got the obligation dilemma. This one is all about being pulled in multiple directions by your duties. You have a moral responsibility to do 2 different things, but it's physically impossible to do both. You can totally see how this plays out in real life, like in this student's example. You've got a duty to your education, but you also have a duty to your job, maybe to help support your family. When the schedules conflict, which obligation wins? You have to choose, and that means sacrificing something really important. And finally, we have what might be the hardest one of all, the prohibition dilemma. This is the classic damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Every single one of your options is forbidden. You have to pick one, but every choice involves doing something you feel is morally wrong. This example just gets right to the heart of it. We all agree stealing is wrong, but letting your family starve is also deeply wrong. The dilemma forces a choice between 2 don'ts, and it really puts a person's values to the ultimate test. So, how on earth are we supposed to navigate all this? Well, for centuries, philosophers have been wrestling with these very questions, and they've left us with different kinds of toolkits or moral compasses to help guide our thinking. Let's take a look at a few. Okay, so here we have a major clash of the titans. On one side, you have Immanuel Kant. He would argue that certain actions are just plain wrong, period. Your duty is to follow universal moral rules, like don't steal, no matter what the consequences are. But on the other side, you've got John Stuart Mill,
who says it's all about the consequences. The best choice is the one that creates the greatest good for the most people. You can see how these two approaches would lead to completely different answers.
But wait, there's more. It's not just about rules versus results. Aristotle's virtue ethics shifts the focus entirely. It asks, what would a good, virtuous person do in this situation? Carol Gilligan's Ethics of Care says we should prioritize our relationships and responsibilities to others. And then moral particularism basically throws out the rulebook and says every situation is unique. The right choice depends on the specific details of that single moment. So why does any of this matter? Why go through all these categories and philosophies? Because these dilemmas, they aren't just thought experiments. They are tests. They're these intense moments that reveal what we truly value, and in the end, they shape who we become. I just love this insight from one of the student reflections. It completely reframes the entire experience. Facing a dilemma doesn't mean you've failed or messed up. It means you have a chance to get crystal clear on your own values, to act with intention, and to actually grow as a moral person. And this brings us full circle, right back to the philosophers. A student brought up this quote from Aristotle, and it just nails it. The real fight in a moral dilemma isn't with the situation or other people, it's an internal battle. It's about conquering our own biases, our own fears, to make the most thoughtful choice we can. So we'll leave you with this question, because let's face it, moral dilemmas are a part of life. They're gonna happen. And when you face your next one, just remember, your choice isn't just about solving a problem. It's about defining your character. What will your choice say about you?